So color with me as I tell you the story of how I had to escape from a domestic violence situation at home 4 months after my father passed in 2017. So it's a Sunday in March of 2018, and I go and visit one of my dad's former colleagues who works with him at the bank to get some financial advice because some questionable decisions are being made where my father's estate is concerned. And Mary and Joseph are the kind of people who don't believe in asking for help or just seeking external counsel when it comes to things that they don't really know. And my dad's colleague is not just a random guy. I was friends with his son. I've been to their house a couple of times, so this wasn't out of character in any way. I don't share a lot of details with my dad's colleague. I just kind of give him a hypothetical situation and say, like, what would you do in this situation? Like, how would you advise someone going through this? And my dad's colleague, I think, just kind of like sees through my BS, and it just tells me straight up, like, okay, I think that this is the way that your family should handle this situation. Why don't you, speak to Mary and Joseph and tell them to do X, Y, Z, and then let's see what happens. Pretty straightforward, no issues. I drive back home, and on this particular Sunday, it's just Joseph and I in the house because 2 weeks prior to this thing that happened, Mary had gone to America to visit one of her family members. When I get home, there is a girl in Joseph's room, so I call him out of his room into my room, and I'm like, hey, I just want to talk to you about something. And I tell him that, hey, I went to go see Mr. So-and-so, and, he said that we should consider XYZ, and just said I should mention it to you and see how you guys would feel about it. Immediately, and I don't mean a second or 2 seconds later, immediately, Joseph flies into this rage and starts to scream and curse at me. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you going to tell people our family business? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you speaking to people outside about what's going on inside? And I'm like, I didn't share any family secrets or information with him. I just went to ask him for financial advice, and I presented him with a hypothetical situation, not with the actual situation. Joseph doesn't give a fuck. He continues to scream at me, you're fucking stupid, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then he starts going around my room, and he just starts like pushing shit off my vanity table. Like everything on my vanity table except my recording microphone broke. Now, because this is not the first time I've encountered Joseph's rage, I just back into my room and I move to the other side of the bedroom, and I'm just watching him as he's going through this rage fit. And as he's destroying the things around my room, he continues to insult me. He calls me names. He's like, you're a prostitute. You're walking around Lagos like a prostitute. And then he tells me you're stupid just like your father. You have no sense. And he's just screaming and breaking shit around my room. Now, it's a Sunday night, so I'm packed up getting ready for work, right? He takes a bottle of water that is on my bed and he dumps it on my work laptop, and he takes my phone, he picks it up like this, and he just drops it to the floor, and my phone smashes immediately. After my phone breaks, Joseph says the following words: I will kill you and nobody will know. He meant that shit, by the way. Mind you, the entire time I am just standing and watching. I don't know what's happening to the girl in his room. I don't know if she's still there. I don't know if she left when she started to hear him scream. I have no clue because we are in my room. So once he's done breaking shit, he starts to approach me with his hand like this, like he wants to punch me in the face. And that's the only time I speak. I say, don't try it. And he does this, and then he storms out of my room. As soon as he storms out of my room, I pack all my shit, like my broken phone, laptop, everything into my work bag, and I run upstairs to my neighbor's flat. And I'm banging on his door, open up, I need help. And luckily, he's coming from getting a haircut, so he meets me at the door, opens the door, he's like, what's going on? I try to tell him what's happening. I'm panicking because someone first of all just threatened my life and then damaged my property. I take my SIM card out of my damaged phone and I put it in my neighbor's phone, and I make 3 phone calls. I call my dad's colleague, who is shocked because I literally just left his house 20 minutes ago. And then he tells me, just calm down, call me when everything is settled. Then I called one of my colleagues at work who knew a little bit about what I'd been going through at home after my father died. And then he tells me the same thing, calm down, call me when you're safe. And then I placed a third phone call to one of my girls, Kim, and Kim is like, what the fuck? I'm coming to get you. And Kim pulls up with two of her guy friends because we don't know how Joseph is going to respond to me getting the fuck out of the house. Luckily, when we go back into the apartment, Joseph is nowhere to be found and neither is the girl. So we pack all my shit up. And just before we leave the building, Kim is like, call Mary and let her know what happened. And I'm looking at Kim like, whatever you think Mary is going to say, she's not going to say. But Kim is like, no, call her. So I call Mary and I tell her exactly what happened, and Mary immediately goes, what did you do to provoke him? You know how Joseph is with his anger. What did you do to provoke him? And I calmly tell her, I'm like, I didn't provoke him. This is exactly what happened. And she's like, leave the house or Joseph will kill you. That's the second threat. You don't gotta tell me twice. And I looked at Kim like, you see? And Kim is like, let's go. The next day I show up at work. I'm still in shock, but I show up at work. And I show my boss, HR, my supervisors, like my damaged laptop. I tell them exactly what happened. I mean, nobody knows what to do because what the heck is going on, right? Throughout the day while I'm in the office, Joseph and Kim blow up my phone. Come back home, come back home, come back home. Mary's telling me, you're acting like a beggar, just like your father, living in somebody else's house. Come back home. I'm getting texts. Family is everything, blood over everything. Come back home. What the fuck are you doing? How can you leave the house? Joseph threatened to kill me and told me that nobody will find out, which was a fact. And Mary tells me to leave the house or Joseph will kill me. And you're asking me why I'm not coming back home? I never went back. I never went back. They continued to harass me at work with calls and messages until I had no choice but to block their numbers. I didn't speak to them until November 2018, which was, which marked a year after my dad died, and we had to plan the remembrance service. I had to be the one to do most of the planning, right? And so we're communicating via email. I found the email threads recently and I was like, damn, this shit was really real like that. And then on the day of the remembrance service, which was held at one of my former churches, Joseph showed up late and Mary showed up 2 hours late. Mary was so late that I had to beg the pastor to redo the service again with fewer people in attendance because everybody left after the first time. So due to external pressure from spiritual leaders, some family members, I forgave and forgot and reconciled with Mary and Joseph at the tail end of 2020. And then I guess communication sort of resumed in 2021. But I was still very guarded, still very careful, still had boundaries up and everything. But joke's on me because in 2023, Joseph did some fuck shit and I got dragged into his mess. And when I refused to stand by him and refused to stand by the rubbish that he did, Mary and Joseph decided to punish me by planning and executing a very public smear campaign, like a public humiliation on the internet. And after that, I cut them both out of my life. That public smear campaign almost cost me my life, and that was a wake-up call that I needed, and that was when I knew that the both of them absolutely hated me, and nobody, not a living fucking being on this earth can ever convince me to go back in contact with them, to reconcile with them, to forgive and forget. Now we're remembering and resenting till the fucking grave. Not even my father can come down from heaven with the 21 elders next to him, Jesus holding his hand and Father God holding the other hand, can convince me, can beg me to ever let those two horrible people back into my life. Thank you for watching and listening, and see you in my next video. Mwah.